All right, let's talk about one of the most important hires you can make, finding a part-time marketing leader who can deliver full-time, game-changing impact. Today, we're diving into the checklist that'll help you find the right one.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You're not just hiring some consultant. You are literally embedding a strategist into the core of your company. They're going to have a huge say in your growth, but they're only going to be around for a few hours a week. The stakes here are incredibly high.
And yeah, that's why you can't afford to get this wrong. A bad hire here doesn't just waste a little money. It can burn through your budget, totally derail your team, and honestly set your growth back by months, maybe more. We need to make sure we're finding someone who can actually do the work, not just talk a good game.
So, just to make sure we're all on the same page, what we're talking about is a fractional CMO. Think of them as an experienced, high-level marketing leader who parachutes into your team part-time. Their job is to design and steer your entire growth strategy, everything from messaging to the tech stack.
So, how do you de-risk this whole thing? How do you cut through all the jargon and find the person who's the real deal? You use a strategic checklist. It's all about having a system to separate the pretenders from the true operators.
We're going to break this down into 3 key areas. First, can they actually think strategically and tie everything back to ROI? Second, can they get stuff done? Do they bring proven systems with them? And third, the really crucial human element. Are they a good fit, and how do they communicate?
Let's kick things off with the big picture stuff. A great fractional CMO doesn't just think in terms of marketing campaigns, they think about the business as a whole. This part is all about figuring out if they can connect what they do directly to your bottom line. This is your first filter question. It's a great one, because it immediately forces the candidate to talk about what actually matters, how their work is going to drive revenue and help hit those big company goals, not just vanity metrics like website traffic or social media likes. And what you're listening for here are signs that they're a true growth architect. They should be able to talk, fluently about how marketing plugs into your business model, how they balance brand building with performance marketing. And you want to hear that they have a battle-tested process for things like defining your ideal customer and your go-to-market plan.
Okay, now we get even more specific. This question is a fantastic test of their financial fluency and their focus on actual results. Any strategist worth their salt will have a core set of KPIs they live and die by, and they absolutely have to explain how those numbers connect to revenue.
And this is what a great answer sounds like. A top-tier candidate isn't going to talk about click-through rates. They're going to talk about real business impact. You'll hear phrases like CAC payback, lifetime value, and return on ad spend. This tells you they're thinking about the whole economic engine of the business, not just one little piece of the funnel.
So a brilliant strategy is great, but it's totally useless if it just collects dust in a PowerPoint deck, right? So the next piece of this is figuring out if this person can actually execute, especially in the fast-paced, kind of scrappy world of a growing company. This question cuts right to it. It tells you immediately if they have a repeatable, structured plan for getting started and making an impact. A vague answer here? That's a huge red flag. You're looking for someone who has a clear playbook for delivering value and fast.
And a really strong answer is going to sound something like this. They'll talk about spending the first 30 days just diagnosing the situation, getting clarity on your funnel. By day 60, they should be implementing key systems and making some initial moves. And by day 90, you should have a clear roadmap and start to see measurable results.
Now, this is a really crucial point. You need someone who brings systems, not just opinions about tools. It's the difference between someone saying, "Oh, I like using HubSpot," versus them saying, "I have a pre-built playbook for HubSpot that includes lead scoring and reporting templates we can roll out in week 2. See the difference? One is an opinion, the other is a real operational asset.
Okay, but strategy and systems mean nothing if you don't have the right person leading the charge. And that brings us to our last pillar, the human element. This person isn't just a contractor. They're a key leader and a thought partner. How they communicate and fit with your culture is just as critical as anything else.
Oh, I love this question. It gets right to their leadership maturity. Their answer is going to tell you so much about how they operate. Do they point fingers? Or do they take ownership? How do they handle tough conversations? You're basically testing for their diplomacy and their ability to solve problems constructively.
And remember, you are not looking for a yes person. You need a partner who can take complex ideas and make them simple, who can adapt to how your team already works and
This is the big one, who has the guts to push back constructively when they think there's a better way. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? You're not hiring an order taker. You're hiring a leader who will challenge you, sharpen your own vision, and ultimately make the entire company smarter and stronger.
Okay, so you've asked the hard questions. You've assessed all 3 pillars. Now what? Let's bring this all home and talk about how you actually make that final call with total confidence.
First off, keep an eye out for these red flags. If their answers are always kind of vague, they probably don't have real operational experience. If they never bring up metrics or KPIs on their own, they might not be focused on results. And if they dodge questions about accountability, well, they'll probably dodge blame when things go sideways.
Now, for the green flags. I want you to run your top candidates through 3 final, simple filters. Filter number 1, speed to clarity. Did they pretty much diagnose some of your key challenges right there in the first call? The best ones always do. They just see it.
Filter number 2, systems orientation. Are they talking about bringing in repeatable processes, or are they just throwing out a bunch of random, ad hoc ideas? You need someone who's going to build a solid foundation for growth, not just chase shiny objects.
And the last filter, number 3, execution fit. Be honest with yourself. Can this person actually drive change with the team you have right now? Can they inspire people and get things done without needing a massive budget? The answer to that has to be a very confident yes.
Look, at the end of the day, hiring a fractional CMO is like choosing the architect for your company's growth engine. They're not just going to follow your instructions. They are going to design the very structure that determines your future success. So the final question you have to ask yourself is pretty simple. Who are you going to trust with the blueprints?